For those of you who have already had a chance to look at Lightroom 2.0, you'll probably already have seen the great adjustment features that we have, localized adjustment features that we have in the program. For instance, we can grab the adjustment brush that you see here, and we can just jump in and do something like a burn-in kind of adjustment by just clicking and brushing in parts of the image. Now the great thing about this is it all happens non-destructively, so that we can choose to get rid of these changes if we want to later, or we can come back and do things like make an adjustment to the amount of changes made using this brush or this masked off area. We can also go through and make other changes too. For instance, we can pull down saturation, adjust clarity and sharpness of these areas, and it'll just affect that part of the image. Now what you mightn't realize is that we also have another feature in Lightroom 2.0. It wasn't in the beta, and it's called the graduated filter. We can use this for applying effects across the image itself. Rather than being painted on, it's applied in a graduated way across the image. For instance, if I drag this one from the base up to the top, hold down the shift key so it's applied horizontally in line with the image itself. Notice the base of the image is now darker and it graduates through till no adjustment at all. But what if we want to get a couple of adjustments together? For instance, if I want to have color and monochrome with this image at the same time. Let's just bring the exposure back to 0 here and grab the saturation of this graduated filter and drag it down. Notice the foreground now has been converted to just monochrome with a tint that's being applied through the split toning pane. We can then go in and apply a second graduated filter. Click and drag it down. It's defaulting to a change in exposure. We'll bring that back to 0. And we'll grab our saturation and drag it right down. So now we have a monochrome image with a slight tint, as you can see. Now to restore some color, we can go back to the adjustment brush, bring our exposure back to 0 again, because we don't want to make a change in exposure, but pump up the saturation. Now we can come in and paint the color back into the foreground of the image. So now we have a situation where we have both color and monochrome together. Now if that's a little bit too bright, a little bit too strong, remember you can actually make adjustments to the degree of change by simply clicking and dragging the control that you see here.